drifted alarmingly in the betting, was, Felsted in the morning continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And with that intro, a very warm welcome to the Barsters Sunday Sermon. What a show we've got in store for you. And before we start on the subjects, just want to pay tribute to my partner in crime here, Jonas Leng, who has had a terrific week tipping. And seriously, he's got a Gerwyn Price average dart score in terms of profit. He smashed the 100-point barrier before we've got to Royal Ascot. That's some going, mate. And as we've said, you're on fire. But also, John, before we get going, you've got a story for our listeners, haven't you, about fire?
Well, yeah, I might be on fire tips-wise, I suppose. The blind pig has stumbled into a truffle farm at the moment. But, a couple of Saturdays back, I'd finally got to sleep. We were sleeping the sleep of the heavily refreshed, actually. I was feeling good about everything, and I had this thump on the door as though somebody was trying to knock it in one of them cables, that the Yorks toss regularly. I thought, my God, they're kicking me down. So it was 3 o'clock in the morning. So I went down the stairs, opened the front door. There's fireman Sam stood there in full regalia. He says, do you know your garden's on fire? I said, well, fucking hell, son, you look better qualified than me to put it out.
Yeah, he's like, John, what's he telling you for?
He's the fucking expert.
Do you think he wanted you to hold the hose?
Well, could have been something like that. I wasn't having a bar of it. I just shut down and went back in.
I mean, Chris, can you? Right, I have this picture image with John a lot of the time, right? So you just see him like bleary-eyed, stood there, huge figure in doorway, like looking at this cunt in a fireman's uniform, like he wants to smash his lights in.
It paints a vivid picture, doesn't it? I think it's tremendous stuff. Tremendous.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do about
but
it?
You know what's funny about that to me? It's the fact that like most people go, is it? Oh no, like, oh my God, oh no. But John just goes, well, what do you want me to do about it?
You're better qualified than I. Yeah, you're the one with the uniform on.
What you woke me up for?
Yeah.
Get your ass in there and put it out, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He's the only one I know that could respond exactly like that. Yeah. Like most of the people would go, what? Oh, panic! Oh, my tulips, my spring onions. Oh no!
You've seen my backyard, mate. There's no tulips or spring onions in there. And tell you what, listeners, if you dropped Johnny Weissmuller in there, he'd shit himself.
Yeah. Oh, Dan. Yeah.
Oh. Fantastic. Great story to start the show. That sets the mood and the tone. We'll do our best to make it as humorous as possible, despite the fuck-ups of British racing week on week, day after day. But first, we'll go through the British and French classics, John. We'll start with the Frog one today, because I don't know if you saw it, John.
Yes, I was suitably impressed.
Yes, Ace Impact, a cracksman, which you'd expect to sort of have more galloping power than just sheer brilliance the way it quickened. I got the sectionals, and sorry to be a time bore and a stride length cadence to
you haven't done that, have you, as well?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
So anyway, it literally is just a sectional. It's done the last 3 furlongs in 34 flat, which is a second faster than anything in the race. Could manage, that's immense for a classic. And it was 22 22-2, I believe, for the 3 to the 1 pole. This is over like 1 mile, 2.5 furlongs. I'm sorry, but that is proper stakes, Group 1 stakes. Astonished, in my view, John, to see this 8 to 1 for the Eclipse still in places. And I presume they're going to go there because, like Verdenne, that it's perfect time-wise, the Eclipse after that, to basically build it back up again. I just think they'll not turn that down. It's unbeaten, straight for the Eclipse. I would have this, honestly, if I was like pricing for the big firms, I'd be 7-2, no bigger. I'd be 7-2 and I'd be saying, look, if you want it with a run, you can have 11-4 or 7-2 without a run. How this is 8s, I don't know, because this has got some serious kick. I've not seen one like this for a bit, John.
The thing that impressed me probably most about it, the overall impression I had from the race, was I think it's beaten a really good horse in second.
Yes, that was also winning by sort of cricket pitches.
And when you look, the third never got involved early, sat out the back. Yeah. The fourth never got involved early. So, the runner-up has beaten off everything else that was up there in prime position, shall we. So, the second horse has set hard fractions and still managed to dig in for a second. I think that's for a terrific performance.
Somebody with a massive exhaust there. I equate it to the performance of the Derby winner, the British Derby winner. It's different trips, different races, so it's hard to sort of compare. But if you want a performance figure, I would say it's definitely as good, if not better. I
think first and second in both derbies are pretty good horses.
Yeah. So I think the French horse trained by Jean-Claude Van Damme gets there, and he's the French George Bowie, by the way, Rouget. I mean he's got the carrots, and his stable was in a cloud sort of springtime. He's also coming back better now. I think this is a really good bet for the Eclipse, and I would recommend anyone, if it's still there after listening to this, if you're not backing, I've backed it. If you're not backing the 8 to 1, you need another job, because this won't be 8 to 1 on the day on an Eclipse. I promise you that. Okay, so we move to British Classics, which started on Friday with the Oaks, John. And obviously we had a wonderful outcome for Jack with Soul Sister. It was backed up by most of us, really, in terms of we didn't get the betting why they were so wide apart, especially on that kind of ground. Why was Soul Sister so big? Because the only way Save the Last Dance would have beaten Soul Sister were if Cooper Clark had produced the normal ground that he does on day one of the Oaks.
Fair play to Cooper Clark. I thought Cooper Clark did a fantastic job this weekend.
Yep.
You couldn't have a quibble, really, with the ground, unless you're an absolute zero watering zealot and wanted it like concrete.
Yep.
The only quibble you could have had, you prefer a perfect racing surface in all fairness. And I think he's got three, count the Coronation Cup. I think he's got 3 excellent outcomes to his big races. You don't always get at Epsom these days, so hats off to him. As for the Oaks, Soul Sister, very impressed with the money aside. I did tend to think it was as far as she wanted to go. I think you might say a better filly at 10, but she's got 12.
I think she'll be miles better over 10, John. She's got that tour. And to be fair,
she cantered into it, didn't she? You'd expect she'd maybe come away in 189.
Well, that's it, and she didn't. It was a length and 3/4 and ahead, and the third had a fairly rough trip, really. Carnarvon, shorter room at the start. But if you stop the race at the sort of 2 pole, she's not even been asked, while the others are just all out in full stride. So 10, I'll be amazed if they stay at 12 ever again with her. I literally think she'll be. I even rated the race, the Oaks, John. I rated it below the form of Usidorowin.
Possibly.
I thought she was slightly better. Because the problem with Save the Last Dance was she, after Chester, she's raced on soft and heavy all her life. That was like ridiculous ground to her. She's not ran to her mark. her official rating is 114. I would put her a little bit behind that on. So I can't have like Soul Sister run into form really. So I think that's it. She was just much the best, and that's what it proved on that kind of ground. So an interesting campaign for Slim and John, what they're going to do, because she's definitely going to want to be dropped back in trip. Whether she's good enough to compete with the Colts in the sort of Group 1 races coming up, I'm not sure. I think she's a very, very smart filly, but I don't know. She's not got the stamina for me to be a serious 1.5 filly. Like that's how I see it. I think she's got great foot.
I think when Goslin's got the legs of Emily Upjohn, literally King George and what have you, and of course the Yorkshire Oaks, all the horses can run in that these days. I think it'd be a lot better campaign around the 10 furlong races anyway.
Yeah, maybe he might be thinking about something like the Matron.
Yeah. I mean, he could kind of globetrot with her really, because good as she is, she's not winning any clips.
Well, she isn't, and she'd be suited to America. Very quick ground, where she's got that foot to destroy fields. She'd be fine over the 1.5 miles, the Breeders' Cup, if that was a thing. She'd definitely be fine staying that, because obviously you don't need to get 12 on their bowl tracks on for fast ground. So she'd be fine for that. So it'd be interesting where she ends up, but she's very, very good. Save the Last Dance, John. Are we saying they're going to probably think St. Ledger with that?
I think the crackers, if they don't, it's already shown how well she stakes. She hated Epsom. Hated it. Doncaster would be perfect for her.
Yeah, indeed. Come on to the Derby. Anything in? Well, I mean, I know what you're going to start off by saying. You might save some of it for later in the show.
Well, you never know.
But anyway, we're going to talk about the Derby, and obviously, the talking point was, did Kevin go too soon or what? But the winner, if we rate the performances of the horses, I think this is a good Derby, John.
Yeah, I do. Mind you, I still think last year's was. But yeah, nothing wrong with the Derby at all. It looked a very fair test.
Well, let's go through them. Auguste Rodin, the lads were absolutely bouncing after the race. Tabor after timing Tony Ansell, saying, how was that fives, this, that and the other. Like they do. They were sort of like supremely confident that Auguste Rodin going to win. Obviously, the man in the street, maybe not so confident, because how could we back that after the Guineas, John?
Well, that was it. I mean, the man in the street, unless he was part of this Waco cult that blindly follows the word of the Messiah, there's nothing that can be done for those people, I mean, they are going to go skint. That's as sure as eggs is eggs. But on this occasion, they've had it right off. And fair enough, because they've had it right off on a bloody good horse.
Yes.
Apart from his Guineas blip, he's done absolutely nothing wrong. I think we want to make the most of him, because I think there's more chance of Gary Litter opening a creche than this running as a 4-year-old.
Well, you never know. Depends. It depends if he works for This Morning, something like that. Anyway, the going through the sectional balls, time balls section now. We should have a ditty for this. Time balls. King of Steel, right? This was immense. It clocked 11. This is the 4 to the 3. 11:09, 10:66. 21.75. That is just phenomenal. That is just, and then it backed it up with a 10.9. So Stotty, from the 4 to the 2 pole, has done the race in 21:31, 32.6, John.
And you know what the most annoying thing about that is?
You were on.
No. How far would that have won the fucking Dante?
When you were on.
When I was on big time, yeah.
When you was on, I know it's how it
You know,
goes.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I laid eyes on him before the Dante, I thought, oh, I am in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See Chris's articles about look. Just go back through them. And
Makes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, one look at him in the paddock before the Dante, and it was a case of decide how much you want to win.
Yeah.
And then he goes and does that to you, you know.
Well, another horse to take out of this, and this is, I mean, White Birch, the third. He's got an aversion clearly to the starts because he's fluffing it and he's ended up in terrible positions.
He doesn't want to do it. It's Animal Egg were all over it. Well, sorry, Animal was rising.
You know,
they expressed a strict opinion on that was because he did not want to do it.
Well,
and the fact that he came from last at Tottenham Corner and back like a fucking Comanche up the straight.
Again,
nobody is going to ask him about that, are they?
Again, 33.25 for the last 3 furlongs coming from where he did. He's a very serious horse for John Joseph Murphy. They can sort that kink out at the stalls where he just doesn't come out. I mean, he's a massive Irish Derby contender. Even if Auguste Rodin runs, if they sort that out where he's giving away mass track position, you'd almost want a flag start for that lad. Spreewell in fourth didn't handle the track E-shape well. Foxes didn't stay for me. Waipiro didn't stay for me. That was bottomed out in the closing stages. Not at that level, it didn't stay anyway. Artistic Star, John. This again, very eye-catching. Came from a very bad position. It wasn't knocked about by the train driver. They're going to have some fun with this horse, aren't they? Later on this season.
Well, I think if the trainer can keep a lid on things and doesn't go and do something stupid like the Teddy 7,
yeah,
which isn't a gimme that he won't do that something stupid.
Yeah,
if he went straight to the Voltiger, I think we could be looking at a right bet at around 11-2 for a Voltiger. And I think York can suit the horse down to the ground and put itself bang in the ledger picture.
And we could definitely get our balls out for that, can't we? Literally, yeah.
You know, I mean, that's one start for the live preview, folks.
Yeah.
You know.
The two I like are White Birch and Artistic Star, folks. They're the main two that I would take out the Derby. For if they managed right, I think they could just do something pretty good this year. Really nice horses.
Maybe take out Passenger for next year's Brigadier Gerard.
Yeah. Arrest, they're going to have to run at Von Baden, John.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Needs it deep, get it in with the Alderflugs.
Yeah, he'll take on the Alderflugs and do the Alderflugs will Arrest. But we did highlight this on the preview shows. We couldn't have it. Passenger back to 10, Johnny was absolutely gas, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did plenty in Richard's hands early on, but my God, it was all a bit rushed to me. I was never that enthusiastic about them sticking him in, to be honest.
But I think Stout Nuts time of day, and if Passenger needs time off, like you said, you could even see him coming back for next year's Brigadier Gerard.
He's not forced to run again this year.
Sandown May.
Yeah. Yeah, you could just say, bollocks, that's it.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Big 4-year-old campaign for Passenger. He's done enough. 3 quick runs, Wood Ditton, Dante Derby. He's done enough this year. Don't need to do nothing more.
See you next year, son.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, okay, so that's mine and John's views. We think the Derby's fair. We think the French Classic winner today is very, very smart and will certainly cause ruptions in the Eclipse. And Soul Sister will probably drop back in trip and probably not be good enough to beat the very best of her generation and the older horses over a mile and a quarter. I think we've pretty summed that up. Now, Cooper Clark, John, a special mention for him because he's had absolute massive stick on this show. For produce, and to be fair, justified. He's managed to produce fast ground eclipses in the past, but for some reason, some meetings he wants to chuck plenty of slop on, and with everyone. And there would not be one person on Twitter that knew what they were doing that wouldn't have suggested that Cooper Clark was going to produce anything other than good to soft in places for day one. Everyone was taken aback with how Now, has he set a precedent now for other clocks? Can we kick forward with this?
I had to say, if there was a genuine superstar going to run in the Eclipse and the trainer started on about safe ground, I would be still quite concerned about what might happen. I think if he's left alone in the run-up to a big race like this, I think that's clearly what he would like to produce, what we've had the last 2 days. Yeah. But the trainers won't let him alone, will they?
I'm going to bring Chris in now. Chris has obviously been listening intently to the form analysis of this weekend's classics. But Chris, I'm bringing you in here. I mean, I need to put my Bob Lazar hat on again and say, is like John's mentioned this about obviously the gross profits tax deal. Now, as we know, it's in everyone's interest for punters to lose, because that's what funds the levy. You know, we've said this for a long time. So if you make it as difficult as possible for punters to lose, I mean, is it a case of that and he listens to trainers? So like John just said, let's say you've got a top class Group 1 colt. It's 6-4 for the Eclipse. It needs good to soft. Cooper Clark ain't going to produce good rattling ground, is he?
No, I think it's a combination of factors, isn't it? I don't think it's just one thing. But I'm just interested to see which of the winners or runners that over the last sort of few days actually needed that ground, because it seems to me that I think he does respond to those who shout loudest. So whoever was calling for or whispering for fast ground, I think he's responded, because he hasn't just produced fast ground because he listens to our rubbish every week or other. There has to be a driver, because it's so out of kilter from what he normally does. You'd have to suspect that somebody has been applying pressure. Now, who that is, God knows.
Chris, but what a success it's been, right?
Yes.
You only got to feel social media and everyone saying what tremendous race it's produced. Nice fast ground summer racing we all used to remember. That was, and the thing is, like me and John's always said on this show, a horse that doesn't act on it won't let itself down on it. There's they generally, literally 99.9% of them, the horses aren't stupid. They're not going to sort of, I'll run quicker on this and then break my leg. They'll just
won't let themselves down.
No, they're down tool. That's why you get them sort of like tailed off a bit, and you think, oh, that's wrong shit. I mean, look at a rest in the Derby. Frankie decided when he come down the hill, which he didn't at all. He'd lost his action, and so Frankie that's it. He recognised that, eased off. No problem.
Yeah,
horse will be back to fight another day. Absolutely. I'll be amazed if that horse has got injured from that. And this is the thing or the recent trends, like John's highlighted about red hoods. Oh, red hoods to the start. Oh yeah, put a red hood on. That'll stop them pulling. It's like
red guide,
So, and then they all do it, and then it's like, oh, what's this new thing they do? Oh, we'll do that. Oh no, they're timing them on gallops now. Oh, they've got heart rate monitors on gallops. Yeah, we'll do that. And it's just, it's the kind of thing. It's the trend, and so they all pressure the Clark. Oh, that's too fast. Can't run this Mark Ripple on this. Well, don't run it. Got all weather. I think that's it. I think Clarks have literally lost the plot over a period of time, and whether it's a theory that they're just pandering to trainers, or whether they are genuinely making this game so difficult for the punter. Which when we come to the July meeting and John decides to go to Saltburn on Sea with his napkin on his head and sit in his deck chair for a week. That might be John's sort of like, a tomahawk steak as well at night.
I think there's a regular meeting during July meeting, and we've got the Magnet Cup as well, haven't we, on the Saturday now, so...
Yes, it's not too bad.
It's not as unbearable as it was.
No, Super Saturday's never unbearable. You can switch off Newmarket. But yeah, so we've got process to deal with the July course. But like John said earlier, hats off to Cooper Clark. He's had a lot of stake. I think he's done a lot right this last 2 days. I would love to see more of this from other Clarks and the courses. I think he's led the way here. It's safe ground. It's quick, safe ground.
Someone ask him why this meeting you produce fast ground and previous meetings it's been ankle deep.
Yeah, well, we did invite him on the show last year. I haven't asked this year, but he declined to come on last year.
I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to come on here.
Exactly. But Cooper Clark, if you're listening to this, get in touch and we'll get you on the show, get you more limelight. We've got plenty of listeners now. But yes, the only one thing I'd say about Cooper Clark is attention to media. So why wasn't Going Reports released, John, first thing in the morning? Why did you have to wait to go on the morning line?
I feel a bit of a plinth for not mentioning that now, to be honest. If there was one bit of criticism you could throw in, it would be the fact that he likes waiting until his telly appearance before he gives you the heads up.
Yeah,
and that's not really good enough on a busy Saturday.
Fair play. He did reply to Nick Davis, our roving three-wheel in London reporter, and he replied to Nick Davis and said that he felt that by going out at that time, it would reflect the drying out. But as other people have also pointed out, couldn't you do one at 7:30, 9:30, 11:30, or are they lunching, John?
Well, no, I mean, you have to look at the attire of the steward when he came out after the dash. To say that, well, they're not there in overalls, are they? Ready to put a shift in?
No, he's not. He's not going around with the old Jack Russell, sticking a pole in, and he's in the attire.
He's sat at the table waiting for his prawn paper to arrive at his side.
Lobster, got to be lobster on that, I think. Sir Cooper Clark, well done. No, seriously, well done. And I hope other Clarks take notice, Michael Prosser. Right, the Derby time and Grand National times, John. And I'm coming back to this Primierisation. And Chris as well. Sorry, Chris, you're a bit quiet this year because it's all like ground and horse bollocks, isn't it? Horse shit. We're talking horse shit.
Through your ears.
I know.
People don't listen to that rubbish, do
they? They don't. But it is. But let's talk about Primierisation because that's a made-up word from the BHA. And we said last week on the show that this is a disguise. It's a cunning disguise for wall-to-wall racing 24/7. And I'm more inclined to believe that because if you're willing to sacrifice the Derby at 1:30 because of FA Cup football and the Grand National has to be on at 5:15, where's this 2-hour mid-afternoon slot we're on about?
Good point. Where is it? I spoke to Jeff Banks this morning. Unbelievably, he was 34% up online.
All right.
But he's got a new web product, so he's putting it down entirely to that. And the on-course operation, he said, was well down.
Yeah.
And he said the crowd was also noticeably down. This was a tough time slot, wasn't it, for the race? Everything felt wrong, really. You know what felt worse to me, really? The fact that you get the Derby over, and you've still got like 3 hours of this shit carrying out in front of you.
I mean, everyone knows that your Premier race has never in British racing history ever taken place that early. It literally is sort of midway or later towards the card. Yeah,
it's absolutely arsehole me feng shui because you have the big race. You nip over onto Foodle, you sort the takeaway out, you click the order, and by the time you covered the last 2 or 3 races at each meeting, your gloves are going to be here. Couldn't do any of that after the big race. Fucking nightmare.
It is. Like you say, you have 3 hours of shit, John, after I mean, this is... So, forgive me for doubting the BHA motives on this, talking about Primierisation, but again, we talk about an organisation that has very little backbone, certainly can't stand up for the sport. We've seen that already. And I just don't believe the word Primierisation. That literally is another smokescreen to say, oh, we're going to start at 10 a.m. and we're going to finish at 9 p.m. Is that all right? All right with you lads? Yeah. And this 2-hour slot will just never materialise. It'll do it for some weeks, but when it doesn't suit, it'll, like you say, you'll get these random times coming in because we didn't want to interrupt FA Cup final, and it's how it is. Anyway, right on to the Epsom Dash, another catastrophe, which I was quite shocked. I was quite shocked at this. I expected 99.9% unanimous in terms of either voiding this race, which I wouldn't have done. I'd have just made the stalls that clearly opened slowly as non-runners. And yet, certain industry figures, like the likes of James Knight, came out and applauded the decision. It was the right decision. How on fucking God's earth can it be when a stall ancient times doesn't open at all be the right decision? What planet are these people on?
I'm fucking hell, I'd back the winner and I sort of got away with murder.
Well, what did I say to you in the private chat? Have they weighed in? As long as they weighed in, that's it. It's done. Oh, they weighed in, that's it. Fine, you get paid. But how on earth have they come to that decision? That Gormy fucker, Sean Parker. Was it Sean Parker? Is that his name? I can't even remember his name.
No.
But in the top hat, came out and said,
Fat Controller, he reminded me
the
of.
Fat Controller, yeah.
Thomas Tank Engine.
Yeah, looked like a fucking chess piece. It came out and categorically said that, in their opinion, it didn't materially affect the result. What the fucking hell is that load of baloney? How can that not affect the result? So I'm there like making the case saying, what an absolute tool. That's the BHA, that's their stewards, absolute morons, can't run a brothel.
Struck to his cock, yeah.
Yes. So then James Knight comes along and says, that's the right call. Well, what about the ones that break out the stalls and get a length or 2 length advantage? But that is racing, though. That's like in National Hunt racing when one pinches 5 lengths from the tapes. We'd be voiding that. The difference is there's a rule in racing, right? If you can't win, then you have to be a non-runner because so these horses are being so disadvantaged by, like it's the fastest 5 furlong in the world, John. Fastest 5 furlong in the world. And there's horses that are starting 20 yards behind the others. Like you can see after like half a furlong, they're like literally like 20 yards behind. And it's just, if I were Ancient Times owner, I'd demand my entry fee back, my travel costs and everything off Epsom. I'd say, well, you fucking pay for it, you absolute fucking turd. It's a disgrace.
And you're so aggressive, lad, I think they probably would.
Yes, I would. I'd be there in my top hat, and I'd knock his top hat off and all that. That steward, an idiot. And James Knight, if you actually think that that's the correct call, just because horses have broken out of stalls and nicked a length and a half on a field sometimes, I would say that comes under that's racing because that does happen, and I accept that. But then we all have to accept that. That's just, it's pinch to lead, ain't it? Fucking hell. Right? But not to the detriment of, like, stalls not opening and the horse has just literally no chance from the off. That's fucking disgraceful. James Knight's got that opinion. He's an idiot. I'm calling him an idiot for that opinion.
Well, what he said was, I think he kind of rescinded slightly and he said it was the least worst decision. Now... What is the least worst?
Least worst decision.
Give people their money back.
I
agree with you entirely. It's mental. You're saying elite sport is prepared to put up with, a fundamental malfunction of a key piece of equipment, fundamentally affecting the result. They're going, that's all right. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Well. Take
elite sport.
Yeah, elite sport. It's not. It's a fucking gymkhana, isn't it? You can imagine if it's all, or the parents' race at fucking school sports day. Someone's nicked half a yard. Yeah, well, it's only a bit of fun. This is on Derby Day, for goodness sake. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know.
I mean, it's like what I don't get also for like supposedly a Premier track, a jockey club race course that holds the Premier flat race in the turf flat race in the entire world. Right, it's renowned as the Derby winner it is renowned as that still to this day. Now, on Derby dates, they have stalls where there's basically going to be three connections. They separated that dash into 3 stalls, so that means there were 3 separate plugs going into those stalls.
Meccano malfunction. It's Meccano. They must join them with, isn't it?
Right. So why can't they be like the Mecca of racing in this country, York Racecourse, where York have invested and have got their own 22 runners stall, right? The big full one. There's none of this. Oh, we'll have sandwich form in middle, and
Make a bit of that. I think
we do, because you don't get bumped out the stalls. So Epsom have got sandwich form because they've got obviously dividers in the stalls, and they've obviously got like a duff connection. That it's like, oh well, that's not electric's not passed through quickly enough to make that stall up.
Prince Philip would say installed by an Indian. That's what he used to do.
Yeah. The elephant washers.
Yeah.
Judging them now.
I know we've descended into racism and bigotry. Oh, fuck it. So anyway, so going back to this stall thing, this is unprofessional on all levels. From Epsom Racecourse, if you're going to run the fastest 5 furlong race in the world and sort of like absolutely give it the full fanfare, then at least have a set of stalls that's capable of doing the job. Why don't you invest? What are you doing with all the money? It's like, invest in some stalls and make it like that, instead of like what John and Chris have said, a gymkhana. Make it a professional sport, an elite sport. But no one listens to us, and no one listens to punters, as we know. It's all about books and books and books and profit. And sadly, that was the case with the Epsom Dash. So if you back
there's a huge reluctance, Lee, just to finish off, for sort of the talking heads, James Knight, etc., to criticise. It's very, very odd that these individuals just feel so uncomfortable criticising the status quo. Everything's still all right, be it the media or the talking heads. Nothing's ever a problem, is it?
Look, we said on previous shows, the bookmakers have actually been incredibly clever in buying up every sort of media prominence, if you like, on Twitter, or apart from us.
No,
Come on, where's the books?
I know.
Where's the big offer? We'll turn. Get the big dough out and we'll shut up.
We'll say anything you fucking want for a few quid. We'll say everything's fantastic. Honestly, we'll turn like milk, honestly, with a few quid.
Absolutely. So you see what they've done. You analyse every voice you've got on television, and you analyse every voice you've got on the Racing Post. They're all bought and paid for. They're all doing tipping blogs for Unibet, Paddy Power, Betfair, Sporting Life. You name it. You can name a massive list. So why on earth are they going to speak out for what's right when they're getting the waitress bills paid for and the mortgage paid for? That's what I'm saying. It's just an absolute. So what I would say is that
they've only got us 3.
There is.
We're Quint, Hooper, and Chief Brodie going out on our rickety little boat.
And we're gonna need a bigger one.
We are. Send more money. We need a big boat.
Send more. Yeah. Boat's going well. Send more money.
Buy us a bigger boat. Yeah.
Right. While we're on scandal and scandal within the game, scandal elsewhere, a Barsters exclusive here. We broke a story a while ago, I think it was last year, on the National Stud, where they brought Teddy Beckett in. He's now known as like Franco Baresi, the best sweeper in the racing game.
How did he throw me over the striker's cock till it all died down, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like the cleaner in John Wick, Came in to sweep everything, the media asked, and Beckett came in and stonewalled a lot of them. That was a Telegraph investigation. I had the Telegraph journalist after me for that, and she was loving to publish something but couldn't get over the line with it. And that was Teddy. steadying the ship there.
I was talking to somebody in Newmarket like a couple of weeks ago who was in a position to know. And she said Teddy was absolutely furious that he got into this job that he thought was going to be such a cushy little sit down for a couple of years. And the first thing he had to deal with was that.
So let me break this exclusive, and this is regarding a stud, a Childwickbury stud. That's based in St Albans in Hertfordshire. And to give you a little bit of history and background about the place, because some of you think, what's that? Never heard of it. It has quite esteemed, John. This was owned by Jim Joel in the past, and out of this stud, it produced Light Cavalry to win the 80 St Ledger. Fairy Footsteps won the 81,000 guineas. And then it was bought when Jim passed away by the Marquesa de Moratalla. The Tin Horse was produced out of there to win the French 2,000 guineas. So this is quite a major stud. It's got a lot of history. They've won derbies, obviously, in the mega olden past, but it's a quality stud. And what's happened is it's similar to the National Stud, where Max Weston and Shelley Weston were running this stud for the flats, and they were basically buying their own mares and billing the owners for all the bedding, feed, transport, sales, and they completely lied to the staff about, well, the staff assumed that they were owned by the stud owners, but they weren't. They were being bought by Macbeth, and obviously, so they were getting sort of like free sort of foals and mares and taking them to the sales and not having an expense at all. And this went on for years. Apparently, they had 15 mares in total, like at the stud. Really belonged to the Westerns, but was supposedly part of the stud. But so this went on for a while, and they got sacked for gross misconduct. But thankfully, the flats have passed this over to the police, and this is now a police investigation. So again, massive scandal, and so much so that Childwickbury stud have brought in, I believe, John Hernan, who's been at Cheveley Park stud for a long while, very experienced to manage the operation now. Some very good staff there. So hopefully things will pick up there. But again, John, Chris, this is what makes me mad, though, that you've got frustrated people that work there and give their life to the game. And yet racing media is not interested in this. You know what I mean? This is something that could easily be picked up by the racing media. They haven't. And why is this not an interest?
Because it's so much easier not to rock the boat and like get stuck into a spicy story, isn't it? So much better to sit down with Paul and Adele and ask them how things are going.
Exactly. That's it. You don't have journalism in the traditional sense of the word anymore. What you have are opinion piece writers, right? Or tipster column writers or kind of bloggers on steroids. You don't have that kind of investigative journalism that used to be, it wasn't sort of terribly widespread, but you did have one or two candidates in the past that would pursue these kind of stories. Now it's very much kind of OK or Hello Magazine type interviews, tipping pieces, but there's nothing that looks to, look under the rocks, as it were. So I think it's inevitable that they won't pick this up, and nor will they. They just won't do it.
No, like we said on the BHA last week with Joe Suarez-Smith, with the conflict of interest.
They're not interested.
I expected someone. I did. I don't know why. Maybe that's my own foolery, but I genuinely expected someone to pick up on that story with the loan that he got from Weatherby's, which is a conflict of interest. When that's put out to tender, obviously he can influence that vote, even though he's not allowed to vote on that. You're telling me he wouldn't have any influence? It's
a question. You do wonder whether the journalists, in quotes, are resourced to undertake these type of investigations, or are they simply employed to write a certain number of pieces each week that don't require them to do a lot of research? Because obviously stories like this will require a lot of digging. To get to the bottom of the story, you wouldn't be able to publish straight away. It would have to go through legals, etc. But I just don't think there's any appetite or indeed skill. I don't see anybody that's got the skill to do that anymore. I really don't. I mean, I'm struggling to think of anybody that could run that kind of story.
Yeah, I think that's it. You've hit on a nail there. The word appetite. I think that's a really good word for this, because this is something really that should be reported on. The staff there have been affected, could have affected their livelihood. It could have resulted in the closure of the stud. Who knows, and yet this is within racing. It's racing post, racing media.
Things affecting the workers, though, has never really been a big draw for racing journals, has it?
No, not at all. I just found this. I found this quite sad, because, like I said, this is something that we uncovered with the National Stud. I couldn't get any deeper into it because Teddy Beckett came in, and that was it. So that was, everyone went stum after that. And apparently, allegedly, I've got to say allegedly, he made everyone in the stud, as soon as he came in, sign NDAs. That was it after that. So the National Stud obviously had a scandal, and this one's very similar, along similar lines, where you've got Ben. Wait, John, what's this thing about racing with everyone with their hands in the till? And Chris, what is it? Everyone likes the hand in the till, don't they? Or the hand in the satchel.
Yeah, me, I would be as well. There's just no fucking till to put my hand into.
You'd be disgraceful. Yeah.
Fine till will travel. Fuck me, if I was running it, I'd be fucking laundering money for the Sinaloan cartel through it. Honestly, honestly.
John.
If I was running a stud, stallions would be doing that many extra covers that they'll be boss head.
Yeah. Be on wheels. We're dragging them out again. Please, God, yeah.
So anyway, that's the exclusive with Childwickbury Stud. So that is under criminal investigation for the Westerns. Let's hope that sorts itself out, and and justice is done. Okay, from stud scandal, Churchill Downs had to shut till July, John. 12 deaths.
Let's get Animal Rising over there now.
Yes, this is it. They are targeting the wrong people, like that they always do. They target climate change here, just stop oil, when China's busting out 78 million times more emissions than we are. And so hang on. So the Americans that drugged them within an inch of their lives, they're dropping down dead on the racetrack because they've got that much in them that, it's
Americans have assault rifles.
That's the truth. Yeah, that's the difference. But yeah, anyway, so Churchill Downs shot obviously 12 deaths there in a short period of time. It reminds me of the Santa Anita debacle where 21 dropped dead. Any Bob Baffert ones there? I don't know. But yeah.
Not that fucker that you fancied the other night.
It weren't me that fancied. The problem with American tips, like I said, the juice is so prevalent over there. Yeah. Just it's such a tough game over there. They drive them with an inch of their lives over there, and I don't know. I can't say I'm a fan, to be honest, of the American racing the way it is, but that's it. And I know a few people over there as well, American racing fans, that cringe at the amount of fatalities they get over there, and obviously that's because they use a lot of substances, and that's what it is. The Lasix. All right, some courses tracks outlaw it. You can't do, but there are obviously ways and means, and that's what's happening. So again, another sad state of affairs for the sport worldwide. Churchill Downs having to close, the home of the Kentucky Derby having to shut. Again, like you say, John, send them over on a Boeing 747, but hope it crashes into the sea before it gets there.
Wouldn't be a bad outcome. I'm sick of them now. I've got a smack in the teeth on site policy now.
Do you know what? Did you notice the one that did invade the track on Saturday? Mm-hmm. He wasn't dressed in the gear, was he?
No.
Because for a fact, on Epsom Downs, if he had been, or somebody had noticed like a pink top underneath, or I think they'd have ragged him and kicked fuck out of him.
Chucked him round like a pole tie.
Where do you? I mean, Chris, you've always been a sort of non-placater of these people, haven't you?
Yeah, I think. I mean, they're obviously mad, aren't they? They're just they are. I suppose you would call them. They typically are just privileged middle class silly people, aren't they? They're the sort of people in a few years' time that will get a job as a corporate lawyer or a banker or join mummy and daddy's firm, because these are almost exclusively middle class people. You don't see working class people have the time or the energy to pursue these sort of causes. Same with Stop Oil, same with all these other fringe groups. So I've got little or no time for them. But what I do hate more than anything is the media gives credence to these people by having them on television programs, because it legitimizes them. Where in fact they're just a ragtag of students and people with nothing else to do with their time. And that's the problem I have with them. Not with them so much, but with the media's respect for them.
Well, I'll be interested in the court case for this, because if he gets you get 2 years for contempt of court. I am hoping he gets the full 2 years. John?
I think we're going to get a bit of stick when they find out who we are, because I think when they're having one of these debriefing sessions, I can see Fonserinda ringing Rupert and saying she's been searching the interweb net and found something called the Bar Stewards Inquiry. And there's these horrible people dropping C-bombs all over the place about the lovely horses. And then it gets worse, because they've got someone called Catherine that used to be on the show, but now he's got her locked in a cellar. And it turns out in racing that if horses aren't good enough to win races, they end up in the cellar.
Well,
how can we break them out, Rupert? Rupert, are you there?
I mean, it says when the horses aren't profitable, they're discarded. Well, 99.999% of horses aren't fucking profitable. Even the most basic research would tell you that owning racehorses is a very, very expensive and unprofitable hobby. The idea that people own racehorses to make money just shows you this is sixth form common room standard debating, isn't it? But they're
ignorant dictatorial ships.
They're children. Fundamentally, they're kids, aren't they? A lot of them. And it's just an afternoon out, chance to be seen. It'll fade away like all these things do.
I think it's attention. Like you say, don't give them attention. As some of our listeners have sort of said on Twitter. I agree with Big Pablo. He said, "Don't give them any." I agree. I give them nothing. Don't even comment. Just show no interest. Right, on to Paul and Adele, an article in the Racing Post today, John, that was no silver spoon for them as they were coming through racing. But looking at Paul and Adele, like they're both into martial arts and boxing and things like that, I reckon they kick fuck out of each other behind things.
It wouldn't be a bad bet, would it? Practice. Call it practice.
Do you think it could be like that them on Father Ted, where Father Ted walks into the shop? And he's like, "Oh, hello, Father. Nice to see you, Father."
The minute he walks out, they're at the samurai swords.
Well, it could be like Peter Sellers and Bert Kwok. He comes home and she's waiting for him, hiding somewhere. A massive punch-up. Yeah, Kato, that was it, wasn't it? Yeah.
Both martial art experts, Adele and Paul. I could see that. I could see you get that getting tasty.
Paul walks in from work and says, "I'm brought an Indian home. She wouldn't know whether to get the plates out or get ready to make a deposit."
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah.
Yes. Imagine. You can imagine, can't you? Mulrennan Paul coming in after 6 Peronis. And it's I fucking hate you. And next minute, Adele just fucking kicks him in chops. Anyway, that's my imagination. Right. Now we come to the best bit of the show. It's at home with the Stotts.
It's a little bit tense at Denman Heights as the Stotts enjoy their Derby night mail. Meggie, pose. That's it, shut up, Kevin, and eat your turkey Twizzler. And you can get to bed. Spare room, obviously. I don't know how I'm going to face Father tomorrow when I go back to Dick Cheek to have my voice box realigned so I can talk normally till the next time I'm on that vile television programme. all the plebs leering at me. God alone knows I could have packed that in if you won today. But you couldn't even manage that on the moral Dante winner, for God's sake. No, of course you couldn't. You let some also ran from the 2,000 guineas blindside you, and we're no better off. Father's lost an absolute fortune. And I had a phone call earlier to say poor Liam Hurds had to go back appearing in art house films. Jobby Jackaroo was absolutely furious. He's obviously thinking of sacking you because Rosie Magnuson was telling everyone at Epsom he's asked her if she has any brothers. Get to bed and no, you can't take the Cornish Huns to practice on. Piss off.
Outstanding.
No drugs were harmed in the making of this documentary, but a lot were taken.
So, John, do you reckon he wouldn't have got near it this weekend?
I don't know. I think odds. Horses outrunning their odds. You know. I think she's all right with that.
Tremendous stuff. Absolutely tremendous stuff. Right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this fun-fueled show with scandal and debacle and also good things with Cooper Clark. That's all from us on this Sunday sermon. We're back as normal as John takes a delivery. Chris, what do you make of him?
It's yeah. I mean, it's extraordinary. I think. I just wonder what he's having delivered.
That's Ucker.
Hey,
was that Ucker?
No, it's tea.
What?
This is tea. I thought it was Ucker. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
He has a cup of tea delivered by Uber. Fucking hell, that's class. What a lazy bastard. Can't make his own, man.
When I say tea, you'll call it supper, Chris.
Oh, yes, I'm supper. I was just, tea. Oh, sorry. Yes, quite. I thought you meant a cup of tea. How
yeah, supper in Southern
Anyway, yes,
world.
very good.
Yeah, enjoyed that. Right, that's all from us. Bye for now.